Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, before I introduce our guests, I'm going to do a few quick shout outs to my Patreon. So a massive shout out to Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvault, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As The Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, Dave Rakier Gafford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Erwin Jennisons, Felix Hung, Fireball X, God Rockin', Henrik86, Jeranism, Joshua Balsimo, Kirsten Smith, Liam Nedrick, Life is Short, Nagara, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Renee, Sally Ballis, Silver Umbrella, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon and Zodiac Clock app, the FlatEarthChannel.com, Tina Baker and Tom Hawkins. So massive shout out to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we are joined by a whole bunch of people in both Discord and G+. How are you all doing?
Woo! Good.
Good afternoon. Great.
Awesome.
Good morning.
Excellent. Good to have you all. Had a whole raft of technical issues, so no pre-show, unfortunately. Straight into the live show. So any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Lake Tahoe.
Are we live? I can't find
Bloody
it.
hope we are.
I don't have anything.
Yes, we are.
Fine.
Thank you for that, Arwin. It's not like this morning was stressful enough already.
Sorry, I'll shut up.
Any signs of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
None whatsoever.
Here it is.
Scientific evidence of gravity? Any of that?
Talking about gravity.
No, definitely not.
There's even arguing among the developments of gravity over the last 100 years. And now I've drawn a conclusion that in a whole, I think that Einsteinian gravity has been ignored a lot in the modeling, resulting in the what is it? The dark space, the counteraction against gravity that has to be out there, even though it's unmeasurable and invisible. It's basically coming out of ignoring Einstein's conceptualization. So I'm kind of puzzled about this.
Well, look at that Danny Faulkner in his book. He didn't even reference Einstein when he was trying to debunk flat Earth. How can you write a book on gravity and not reference Einstein, at least in passing? Even just to say that you don't agree with Einstein, even though you can't do that on his side, you've got to at least give the guy a mention because he's supposed to be the current science.
The evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No.
Nope.
Yeah, they never get to that point.
Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Presupposed.
Fruit of imagination.
Any evidence of a valid or viable hypothesis in the entire history of any of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics?
None whatsoever.
No.
But they like to think they have.
How come we're always answering for the ballers? I mean, if you're a baller, wouldn't you be on the show right now?
They don't like answering housekeeping questions because then they have to present evidence to support their assertions to the contrary, and we know that they don't have any evidence, so they sit there. I don't know why they sit there in Discord, but I think it's perhaps to create the illusion that they're boycotting Nathan, or they just like to troll us by sitting there, but they haven't got any evidence. But they tell everybody that gravity causes a lot of stuff, but we all know that gravity doesn't do anything. It doesn't even exist.
Shout out to theflatearthchannel.com, who says, I have the same birthday as Einstein. Is that so? Thank you very much for your support for theflatearthchannel.com. Any evidence of the R value?
You shared that already, I think.
Yeah.
Pardon?
You shared that already.
Say that again, 10th man.
You shared that question already, Nathan. R value.
Oh, right.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Huh. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
Not possible.
This is the biggest point. We know what happens in a lab when we get a vacuum next to a gas pressure. You need a tap to separate them. Once you open that tap, they immediately equalize. On their model, they have gas pressure next to a vacuum, which we know that when we do it in a lab, that's what happens. They immediately equalize. Well, they haven't got a force of gravity pulling it down, even though everybody seems to think they do. Gravity's not a force, thanks Einstein. But they don't seem to have this as an issue in their head. In their head, for some reason, they don't compute this, and it's the strongest point that debunks their model. And if you're on our side, you need to be able to shove it down their throat, because these guys don't know what they're talking about. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of membrane.
Well, you can hardly blame them, Anthony. They really can't go around saying pseudo-Riemannian force space is pulling down.
I know, but we need to do a stronger effort of pointing this out to them, because it is the strongest argument of all the arguments, whether you've got satellites or whether you've got nat pictures from space or CGI or NASA. All of those points are lovely, right? You're in the arguments when you're begging the question whilst you're arguing them points. Well, we don't need to do that. Just say we'll demonstrate gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of containment, because we know we can demonstrate it in a lab, and they equalize immediately. They don't have a force of gravity separating them. So what is separating them from the vacuum of space? And of course, on their model, there isn't anything. So you can't have that. So we need to attack them more on this point, because it does kill their argument. Look at Danny Faulkner. Nathan asked him the question, and Danny Faulkner just was like, don't know.
Well, Anthony, what you're saying is you want Danny Faulkner to somehow answer it, and the argument killed him. That's why he didn't answer it. So we don't need to make it any stronger. It killed Danny Faulkner already.
Well, some people say that Danny Faulkner was rebelling by not answering him, but normally when people rebel because they're not answering, they normally say that they're not answering and then give the reason for why. And he didn't do that. He just sat there looking like a retard. And I'm like, well, that's not really persuasive if that's what he was doing.
The guy, hang on. The guy who writes a book about refuting flat Earth claims doesn't want to answer flat Earth questions. Oh, this is epic.
Yeah, the guy that doesn't address Einstein in his refutation of gravity from the bottom. I mean, you've got to have Einstein in there, right? And he doesn't even reference it. It's like, how could you do that?
Well, Anthony, next question to Danny Faulkner will be, do you know who Einstein is?
I think someone needs to ask him, does he know who Einstein is? Because he doesn't reference him, the lead authority on gravity on their model.
The guy took the fifth, man. He's not going to answer. He knows he's dead the minute he answers.
Yeah, it's embarrassing.
No, it's embarrassing for him. We don't need to make the argument stronger. The argument was strong enough to shut his mouth.
It would have helped if Nathan used some type of context. You can't just walk up to anyone and ask them, how do you have gas pressure without containment? Because they're not going to know what you're talking about. Perhaps if he mentioned Earth's atmosphere not being contained, Danny might have understood what he was talking about. I think he probably just didn't understand what the question was.
To be fair,
so hang on. So you want me to pull out my violin and play it? That I think Danny Faulkner doesn't understand that question. Come on, Babs.
Something very important. I think actually Danny Faulkner did give an answer by showing how his lips act like a barrier between the pressure on the outside and his lungs.
Well, I think that in the context of a flat Earth convention or conference where he is paid to be a member of and go and participate, I think that when you're asked that question, I don't think you need much context because you should know intrinsically what the context is by virtue of being a ball Earth proponent.
He knew damn well what the context was. He just made the best decision that he could make and not say anything about it. Because whatever response he was going to have, he was going to be held to task on it. Because Nathan wasn't going to fuck around with his bullshit.
He's already been asked the question. Quantum Eraser asked him the question back in 2016. And his reply was gas pressure gradient. Now, we all know how pummeled that'll get, as it's a delta of the original question. So he absolutely knows the question. He's been asked it before. So context isn't required. He knows that question. He didn't have a good answer when he was asked it in 2016. He had the same answer. That is to say, he can't answer it. And the answer, regardless of context, is you can't have gas pressure without a container. It's the necessary antecedent. Context isn't required for a simple question like that. It's very basic.
Nathan, we have a gradient, Nathan.
You can't have a gas pressure gradient without a container. Gas
but
pressure
Nathan,
gradient.
it disperses to nothing. How do you have a gradient on your model, Nathan?
How can you have a vacuum
I've
without
got a model. I'm not making any claims. The question is, how can you have gas pressure without a container? The answer is...
we've got a gradient, Nathan. It disperses to nothing, Nathan.
Rumpus by my own bloody panel.
No, the gradient settles after.
Yeah, I heard we've got a gradient.
Am
I ever going to get to address it even with my own panel on my own side?
You're being rumpus.
No shit. Yeah, a gradient is a delta of the original question. You can't have a gas pressure gradient. You must, without first having a gas pressure. So it doesn't in any way address the question. You can't have gas pressure without a container. It's the necessary antecedent.
They just don't like it. Hey, I had a really good conversation with Red Rhetoric and Sean Hufford last night, guys. Did you catch that on Sci Strike's channel?
No, just watched your stream today.
So Sci Strike died recently. He had some kind of I think doesn't matter. He died recently, and his daughter wanted to carry on his channel, and she said, like, would you come on and have a conversation? Like, and I was like, sure. What do you want to talk about? She said, well, do you want to have a debate with some ballers? And I was like, all right, okay, sure enough, fair enough. I've not done a debate for a while. I thought I'll have a go. So who do you want? So she made some suggestions, and I just says, nah, no thanks. I'm not really interested in either of them two. In the end, she settled for Sean Hufford and Red's Rhetoric. So they came on and we spoke about Moonlight for a bit. And it was really, really interesting to see how Sean did his Moonlight test, because he's got like an infrared FLIR camera thing that's measuring the data live. But rather than cast a shadow on an object and see if there's a differential between the casting of the shadow relative to the environment that's not being cast a shadow on, he goes down the side of a building and he looks one way, sees the side that's got no moonlight on it, looks the other way, sees the side then has the moonlight on it, does a compare and contrast and claims a conclusion. And I'm like, aren't you meant to be casting the shadow and seeing what the temperature variation is? He's like, well, no, because nature's already done it for me. And I've tried to explain to him how correlation is not causation, and we all know how that conversation is going to go, and he wouldn't have it. And eventually, Reds started debating me, even though he's supposed to be the moderator. It was me v Reds, and Sean became the moderator. But in the end, we agreed and concluded that next time he's going to go out, he's going to cast a shadow, and then 5 minutes after, he's measured the temperature for a couple of minutes. He's going to show after 5 minutes, he's going to cast a shadow, then measure the difference between the two and see if actually his claim, which is that direct moonlight is warmer than shade, he thinks that the shade's cooler. He's going to try and demonstrate with proof that that's true. And I've said that you're not going to be able to do it properly and actually manipulate your cause, not correlate. And let's see what results you get. And he's agreed he's going to do it. So I'm looking for the fudge factor in it, because we know what happens with the moonlight. It does appear to be cold.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
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 That concludes housekeeping.
Yeah, Nathan, that's a super chat. By the way, you need to read that.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Arwin. My wife and I express our deepest sympathies to our friend Jaron, who is mourning the loss of his mother today. She passed away unexpectedly yesterday. Jaron and his family are in our prayers today. Is that Jaron Campanella?
Probably.
Who's JQ? I've seen that name before, but I don't know who it is.
JQ is friend of DITRH.
That makes
assume
yesterday
that is,
a totally crazy day.
I assume it's Jaron Campanella. Hopefully he'll let us know from the chat. Yes, he says. Yeah, okay. Our deepest sympathies also. Rest in peace, Jaron Campanella's mother. Our sympathies with you, Jaron, and family. Thanks for
Shout out to
super chat,
Jaron's
JQ.
mum.
Thanks for letting us know.
Prayers.
Condolences, Jaron.
Yeah, it's going to be rocky times for him for a few days, eh? So, let's get back down to business. These ballers making claims without any evidence and without any science. Oh, that was what I noticed. The conclusion of the Red's rhetoric debate. They don't like that physical manipulation by the experimenter. They want to demand that we can infer causation by letting Mother Nature do the job. And I'm like, nah, you've got to manipulate it, mate. And they won't have it because we know that they need to infer gravity as a cause for other experiments. So they need to insist that they can allow nature to do it on this occasion, because if I demand that they've manipulated it themselves, then it binds them on future jobs claiming that gravity is there. If they haven't manipulated it by themselves, it means that you can't infer it. Obviously, they want to infer it, so don't let them get away with not manipulating the presumed cause. Stand your ground. There's enough evidence out there. You can just type it in Google.
So they still don't like the definition of an independent variable.
Yeah, they don't like it. They definitely don't like it.
It's pretty sad.
It sets the precedent for future tests, you see.
Well, they don't want the future tests. They don't even want the current test. That's ridiculous.
So Gary Bennett says, stand by what? Because it's not needed. Of course it's needed. You have to physically manipulate the presumed cause yourself to prove that it is the cause of the effect. It's like the cockerel crowing at morning rise. Sunrise is not caused by a cockerel, but it does seem to correlate. And if you don't manipulate it to prove it, then you're not proving it, i.e. you're correlating. And we know that cockerels don't cause sunrise.
Hey, Lenny said in chat that he doesn't like to come on the show and argue the ball, but he can destroy an argument, but he's afraid that Nathan will mute him. Well, Lenny, I got a word for you. Come on the show, don't interrupt, and we won't interrupt you, and prove your ball. Come on.
Don't be a Danny.
So Gary
Why
Bennett,
can we only use science to prove the nature of reality? Why can't we use math or physics or anything else?
because maths is not reality, despite Red's rhetoric claiming that it is. Hey, do you know, we actually offered
So
me
we can only
$20.
prove the nature of reality with science?
Yeah, that's how you prove the nature of reality with science.
I was just wondering why we're only using science. I'm not sure if there's anything else that can be used.
Nathan, Jose saying that he could be on the panel destroying us, but Nathan is a coward and he doesn't give me the link. Hangout, Discord sucks. Hangout link or nothing. Should I send him over one?
No. The guy's a jerk. He's all he's doing is playing the victim here. Get your flip-flops on, get to your mic, Jose, and come on Discord.
Yeah,
who did he say he's going to be destroying? What did I hear?
Now, if he'd come on the G Plus panel, he'd just be trolling us very
He's
loudly.
made a claim. He says, I could be in the panel destroying them, but Nathan is a coward. Nathan, can I give him a link and let him join? Let's hear what he's got to say.
No.
Let him join on Discord.
Let him.
I earn Jose 0 favors.
Jose, get your ass into Discord and destroy us in Discord. Come on, let's hear what you got to say. Let's see what evidence you can prove.
I'm still stuck on destroy us. What?
What's going on? The book?
I mean, Jose, bro.
He's imagining
nah.
if he thinks he destroys gas pressure without a container. Come on, destroy it, Jose.
Yeah, gas pressure without a container, Jose. How do you get past that? You haven't got gravity as a force and there's no membrane. So where does the gas pressure go? It fucks off into space, doesn't it? How do you get past that? Your model doesn't represent reality.
So what now? Jose read falling flat and he thinks he's smart.
Pardon?
Did he read Falling Flat? And now he's full of answers.
Still didn't hear what you said. Did he do what?
Read Falling Flat.
Red's falling flat.
Oh, Red's Falling Flat. Yeah.
No, the book Falling Flat. For God's sake.
Has he read Falling Flat, the book? Right, I got it now.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry, I couldn't understand his language there.
It was hard for me.
Might have been me.
Sorry.
I don't know. The book read. I mean, how could you write a book and not address Einstein and gravity? It's ridiculous.
The guy who wrote the book doesn't want to talk. Jose, who says he can destroy us, doesn't want to talk. They've died. The ball is dead.
Warren says,
Jose couldn't destroy a soup sandwich. He's a delusional retard. For crying out.
Warren Evans says, you need to have a container to have gas pressure. Correlation equals causation. Do you need a dog to have dog muck? Yes. If you see dog muck on the pavement, does it mean that you must have had a dog at some point? You don't need to see which dog it was, but you do know that there was a dog, right? So why is gas pressure any different? Because we know by definition you can't have it without a container, because that's the pressure pushing off the walls of the container, right? But in an open system, there's only one wall, and that would be Earth. That means that all pressure is pushing off the Earth and disappearing into space immediately. And we know what happens in the lab when we test that. It disappears immediately. So how is it any different to having dog muck on the pavement, Warren Evans? Warren Evans says, did you not say correlation is not causation? Correct. But how do you have dog muck without a dog? Can you have dog muck without a dog?
Can't you stick to ribeyes and cows rather than dog shit and dogs?
Well, everybody can relate to dog shit on the pavement. Half of these guys won't know what ribeye is.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Why don't Warren Evans actually retract his ridiculous statement in my chat yesterday? He never did that, about Pascal's law not disproving a gradient because it's not related. How about that, Warren Evans?
I think Warren Evans is one of those guys that thinks gravity's a force still.
Unorthodox. Dog what? Dog shit. That stuff between your ears? That's what we're talking about.
I got a question for you, Anthony, whenever you're ready.
Say again?
I have a question for you. I'm just looking at the definition of science in Collins Dictionary, and it says that science is a study of the nature and behavior of natural things and the knowledge that we obtain about them. A science is a particular branch of science, such as physics, chemistry, or biology. So I initially asked if science is the only thing we can use to prove the nature of reality, and you said yes. Couldn't we use physics, chemistry, or biology?
That's science.
What the world?
You just read out the
You
definition
say
and made that
science is a
clear.
branch of science.
That was your
Go ahead,
definition.
Nathan.
You've just
can you
read that off the
unpack
page
that?
yourself. You've literally just read yourself that is science. And now you're asking if we can use that instead.
Right. I thought that physics and biology and chemistry were not considered sciences.
By who?
They don't follow
By
the scientific
who?
method.
Who are they? Right. Physics isn't a they, is it? It's a discipline. They don't follow the scientific method. No, that would be people don't follow the scientific method and call themselves physicists or scientists. They are people, not a method or a discipline.
How many times have
Right,
I
so as
presented
long
on
as-
this? How many times have I presented on this?
12.
I know, but to be fair, it takes me about 12 times to get it in if I'm not sure about something. So you just have to be a bit more patient, John. But to be fair, though, that Collins definition that he just read, I looked it up because I thought there's no way Collins have said, and I quote, science is a particular branch of science. But it actually does. It says science is a particular branch of science, such as physics.
That's what I
chemistry, or
heard.
biology.
I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't
Yeah, it does say
that
that.
seems
It's
silly.
shocking. I noticed
I
he
read
didn't
it
mention the word
verbatim.
experiment in the definition.
Are we all clear?
Using the scientific method can only answer cause and effect questions. right? So your question's kind of ambiguous. You want to get to something specific?
Well, I didn't have a specific question. I was just curious about that Collins dictionary definition because it
There's
didn't make
nothing
any
wrong
sense to me.
with definition. Yeah. Do you want to get specific? Go ahead and read it again, and then ask your question again.
No, let me do it
Right.
because I found the bit that he needs to pay attention to rather than the bit at the top, the colloquial bit. So if I screen share, Nath, would you put it on? Yeah. Shit, have I done that? Hang on. Share screen. There we go. So here's the definition for science. And if you go to the Collins one, it does indeed say science is a particular branch of science. But if you scroll down a bit, it gives you the scientific definition, science in British English, the systematic study of the nature and behavior of the material and physical universe based on observation, experiment, and measurement, and the formulation of laws to describe these facts in general terms.
That's wrong. The definitions compromise formulation of laws. Laws do not enter the scientific method.
Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just saying what this one says.
I'm not shooting you. I'm just saying the definition's erroneous.
And then the American one is very similar.
Demonstrably erroneous. I'm not just saying it. Demonstrably erroneous. I just did a presentation on this a few days ago. This specific subject. Does anyone have a law that they have put through the scientific method? Let's hear it. Give it to us. Observe phenomena. I want to hear it right friggin' now.
Jose thinks that gravity holds down the atmosphere. Jose, you know gravity's not a
Hold on.
force.
Check.
Laws.
Mic
Let's
check.
just round that out. Laws don't go through the scientific method. You're not going to establish
Jose,
the
Jose
cause.
just say that?
Oh my God.
So fucking painful.
Who cares
today.
what Jose says? Right? When are you going to stop answering friggin' delusional retards, people? You just. Who is the tail wagging the dog here?
So laws don't go through the scientific method. There is no establishment of a cause of entropy. It's nonsensical.
What about the laws of thermodynamics?
That's what I just said.
That's what he
Oh my
just
God.
said. Entropy.
That's literally just what I said.
Hey.
I'm going on mute.
Do you think before you speak? Babs.
Didn't hear him when he said that. There's a bit of a issue
When he
with
said
hearing
what?
people from the hang.
What did he say?
Something about entropy.
Yeah, then you asked
So
me.
I thought you said you didn't hear that.
You said, what about the second law of thermodynamics?
I didn't hear your full sentence though. I just
You did.
heard
You did.
entropy.
You did. You heard the full sentence. I said, you're not going to establish the cause of entropy. And then you asked, what about the second law of thermodynamics?
Right, I didn't hear the first part of your sentence.
Okay.
You
Right.
heard? Yes, you did.
Let me just rephrase it. You're never going to establish the cause of heat always flowing to cold. Like, you're not going to establish that cause. It's not been through the scientific method. It's just a statement of fact.
Right.
I can't believe the definition of science can be so incorrect in so many of these dictionaries.
I can. You got pretender clowns everywhere, man.
Well, that's how they confuse everybody, isn't it?
Precisely.
Oh, Jose's a coward.
Yeah, believe it. if you're a pseudoscientist, you're going to want to punt the pseudoscience as being real science. So you're going to convolute the definition, you're going to mix up the meaning, you're going to claim that your science is real science, you're going to claim that because you're science, you've got a level of empiricism no one else can challenge. You're going to establish all of that crap, get it all written down, get it all documented and published so everyone else reads it and understands that if you are Mr. Science, you better be respected and believed.
I don't think Jose would even go that far. Last few times he's been on, all he's done is just talk very loudly over everyone, trolling, not getting into a conversation, not backing down, just trolling. Because he has nothing.
Can't even form complete sentences. For God's sake, can we move on?
I haven't had your reaction to...
And same goes for Right to Hand, but yeah, who wants him? You know, at this point.
Can we leave the crown munchers out of it? What about the good doctor? I haven't actually heard Quantum Eraser's reaction to that. Presumably you've seen it.
I told you what the reaction would be. He's not going to compromise himself. He'll do the same thing he did with Nathan Thompson. He can't speak to that stuff, not in public. Maybe on Bob Enyart Real Science Radio Live, he might speak to that. There won't be anyone to challenge him. That ain't gonna happen.
He already compromised himself when he wrote the book.
It just seems ironic that he said there's no claim he couldn't challenge, and then a claim that he's been, put to him is met with stone cold silence.
And he had 3 years to figure it out.
Arwen called it. That's what Arwen said. Arwen said he won't have an answer.
Arwen says.
It's just pure coincidence. We were discussing it last Friday, and obviously I don't know exactly. Presumably it happened on the Saturday, and then that broadcast came out on the Sunday. But that was when it was all edited together by Sleeping Warrior and mirrored by Mark Sargent. So by then, the discussion about hopefully what would happen with Nathan Thompson, and did, was being discussed. And as I say, Arwen called it completely. It was like, he won't have an answer, he won't say anything.
Let's discuss how Danny Faulkner is a part of a minority now.
How do you mean, part of a minority? He's the high priest of the most popular Western religion there is. What do you mean in a minority? No way.
I mean, Flat Earth's winning all over the place.
Yeah, maybe, but that pales in comparison to the established Western religion, which is heliocentrism.
Yeah. Their time is coming.
Sorry, who's they? Who's they exactly?
Establishment people. The established in the establishment.
And who are they?
The Tysons and the Coxes and the Faulkners. Pretender clowns.
Okay, let's have a hypothetical scenario where tomorrow we convince Dr. Daniel Faulkner of his error, and he concedes. What then?
They'll throw him under the bus.
We already have that picture.
They will throw him under the bus. I didn't mean really for him, although that's an interesting add to it. I meant for you. What's next?
For me, personally.
Yeah, you personally.
Wait, I have some noise. Just 1 second.
I mean, as a contrast, you've got the cosmonaut who's saying the Earth is flat, and Quantum Eraser's just summed this up. Presumably, you'll get thrown under the bus by the establishment, although we haven't established what that is yet, well, he's only one step away from having flat earthers put their arm around him rather than globe earthers put their arm around him, or generally being ignored when you go out on TV and just say the same old thing that you've said every single time you've gone on TV. No one would even know who he was. But now he's got our arms around him. Well, in many ways, if he's a cosmonaut, wouldn't he be part of the illusion that's in place, even though he's admitted to the truth now? In other words, it seems, well, put your arm around him once he just admits that it's flat, but your tone was to say there should be some level of accountability. They'll be held to task soon, right? They being the establishment. But is that what you actually want? Is that what you want?
No, not exactly being held to account, but just reforming all the education system and science, and just like rebuilding the world of knowledge, let's say.
The world of knowledge. So you want the world to understand what you understand, correct?
Well, at least the factual world of the facts, not like everybody can take it as he can take it.
Perfect. Everyone can take it as he can take it, he or she. So if everyone can take it as he or she can take it, isn't it kind of irrelevant? You're just looking to see the joy of someone's personal realization of the nature of their reality, like you did. In other words, does accountability actually come into this? I get to my actual point. Do we want to hold people accountable for this deception?
Oh yeah, for sure. At the end, yeah, definitely.
Who? Who do we hold accountable?
Well, how? Even
not how. Who?
Yeah.
Well,
what does holding accountable mean?
Holding accountable. If somebody steals something from you, you can get recourse, recompense. They can be punished. That's.
So how does that work with the globe stories?
That's what I'm asking.
And the belief.
That's what I'm asking. Who's going to be held accountable? What are they going to be held accountable for? Why are we holding them accountable? Rather than putting our arms around them like a Russian cosmonaut who's just admitted the Earth's flat.
How
maybe
about dishonesty in science?
Dishonesty and pseudoscience, and everyone's going to be held accountable. May not be here on this earth, but they will be held accountable. I guarantee you that.
Okay, I mean, everyone's got to have their own version of events when they reach the pearly gates. I'm not going to discredit that in any way, but I'm talking about us now. When people thump their tables and say the Earth is flat, we've all been lied to. What do people want?
Nathan, we're keeping them accountable with your show and QE show and other good flat earth shows. That's how we keep them accountable, by shining the light of truth of the nature of our reality. That's the only way. Not going to take them to court and sue them for something.
Okay, so we don't want financial recompense.
You wouldn't get it. You wouldn't even make it there. They're so brainwashed. The whole system is so brainwashed, they'll laugh at us because they're still thinking boats go over an edge. So we have to keep them accountable. We destroy their arguments like we've been doing. And people who come to the show and share the show, one by one, we get people who see the truth and they come on our side, and we grow and they die. They're losing, we're gaining.
Gaining numbers of people that appreciate the nature of their reality, right?
Yeah, the people who have eyes to see, ears to hear, will say, hey, instead of dismissing the 8 housekeeping questions, I'm going to go and see what they actually are asking by those 8 housekeeping questions. And then when they realize that they're carefully put questions to get a precise answer, they're going to realize that they've been under the spell.
Or not.
Or not.
As the case may be.
Well, I can't worry about the people who refuse to see the evidence. I mean, see the evidence and refuse to change based on the evidence. See, it's evidentiary based. So if you're not going to forget my opinion, but if the evidence shows the Earth is flat, why aren't you a flat earther? Well, I don't like QE. Well, who cares if you like QE? Is the Earth flat?
But those people aren't necessarily like ignoring the evidence. They're still here. So they're still in consideration of the evidence. Even though they're saying no, 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 and they don't want it to be that case, they're still here. They're not like... If they were, as you described it, ignoring the evidence, they wouldn't be here. They'd be somewhere else doing something else, ignoring the evidence.
I'm not talking... I apologize. I'm not talking about Rumpus, Jose, all these people who come here, the trolls. I'm talking about people who, for the first time, hear it, and instead of excusing it, they say, I'll research it, which is what we all did. Those types of people that we're still yet to find and still yet to share with. Rumpus and all these guys in chat, they're just bottom feeders. I don't even pay attention to them.
Can you imagine if one of us did a video entitled Gas Pressure Without a Container and then used a container, and then when it was pointed out to us, we didn't correct our position? You would forever be known as whatever they're going to come back with. Yeah, on their model, on their side rather, Billy Blue Balls, Hillbilly Blue Balls, has got that exact scenario, and all the ballers turn a blind eye to it. And we're all like, hey guys, he's using a container and no one's calling him out. We're pointing it out. He doesn't change his position, and the ballers just turn the other way and look the other way, a bit like Nelson with his Nelson's eye. It's like, come on, guys. I thought you guys were supposed to be
like Jose.
telling
Did
the
Jose
truth.
point him out? This guy's on Jose's show every day. Did Jose point him out? Hey, guy, you might want to see. You might want to share with people that you've got a freaking container in your video that says gas pressure without a container. Did Jose point that out to him, or does he continue to be a fucking guest on his show every day?
He ain't
Like a
gonna
piece of
point
shit.
that out. Nathan, share the screen, please.
Fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, you're on.
I saved that picture.
So we have Hillbilly Blue Balls, the redneck retard, proven gas pressure without a container. But what does he have sitting right here?
Container.
Is this a gas container?
It is. It's a container.
Whoa, is it a closed container?
That's a closed container, yeah. It's got a valve on it, but yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, if this doesn't speak volumes to you people, but you need to get off the fluoride main line or move away from the power lines. Okay?
Wait, I have a question for QE. Why didn't the Hillbilly Blue Balls use another pipe to bring his gas over instead of closed container?
That's what I'm saying right here. There it is right there.
So I want to know, all right, he's obviously not going to change his video, but I want to know why ballers are not calling him out on this. I mean, it's obviously that he's using a container. He's using a container to get the butane into the container in the first place. And then he's using a container to create the pressure that he plugs into his measuring device to prove that there's no container. But there's a container, a pipe that he's measuring it with. So Rumpus, I trust you're going to go and tell Hillbilly Blue Balls that he's made a mistake and get him to remove his video and issue an apology video saying that he's misled all of his audience in his comments below.
Rumpus ain't going to do that.
What we've got it.
Air out the atmosphere with Rumpus. How in the hell do you expect him to understand this?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Don't leave it to Rumpus. Let's just tell the audience what we require. So if you're a fundamentalist religious zealot and you believe the sky is a vacuum, well, all we need to see, as demonstrated and asked every single episode of Flat Earth Debate, is this, which is the container with gas pressure inside it, but without this container. So we want to see the gas pressure that's inside this container currently, but without the container. Hope that's clear.
They see it. They know it.
And their inability to fix the mistake, the error, the fraud, the deception.
Not inability. Refusal.
I have a question. If I have a thermos, right, that's closed, and I open the thermos, does it stop being a container?
No, it's still a container.
Depends if it's accelerating or not.
Then an open container.
Oh, an open container, but it's still a container.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
there's a difference
the fact
between an
that
open
he
container and a
had an
sealed
open
container.
pipe doesn't stop the pipe from being a container.
Chocolate, you can even have a fish tank turned upside down and fill it with helium, and it will still contain the helium.
Yeah,
Or-
the contrasting between a sealed container and an open container. He thinks that a sealed
Hey,
container is somehow different to a container that's open.
So that's a very interesting debunking to their horseshit assertions with sulfur hexafluoride. Excellent, the one. So,
Thank you.
by contrast to sulfur hexafluoride, you could turn a fish tank upside down and fill it with helium. Now, don't get me wrong, entropy's still going to take hold from the bottom, but the effect's the same, right? Just not with the man-made gas. That's very clever. I like that. That's the first time I've considered it in that way, the one. That's brilliant. I like that a lot.
That's what happens when you have a lot of imagination.
So what does this retard do? He gets a 1/2-inch diameter pipe and runs it like 30 or 40 feet high, and then adds the butane on the bottom. Let's try this. Let's get a 6-foot diameter pipe and have it 2 foot tall, and then do it again. Clowns!
This came up yesterday, and I was getting frustrated because at some point you're arguing about whether or not the gas will remain in the pipe, i.e. these people are literally trying to argue in defiance of entropy. Now that's the situation you start with, and by the end of the conversation I'm saying, look, not only will the gas eventually fill the available volume, i.e. dissipate from the open container, the pipe and the house will also eventually succumb to entropy. Come back in 1,000 years and there'll just be dust. You know, not only... What do these morons think the pipe's still going to be there with butane in the bottom? No, the pipe won't be there anymore. Neither will the house. Entropy, yeah? My God, these people are so stupid. Same applies to this can, right? Entropy will still take hold and the gas will eventually fill the space. Yeah, that can won't just last forever. Unfortunately, entropy will still take hold of that can, amazingly. And everything else. It's a natural law. It's so amazing.
Yeah, I think they're all out of arguments, Nathan. That's why they're just in chat now. They just cannot get to the place where they realize they're arguing a lost point already.
Maybe we should play that small video that I just put in Master B for them one more time. Maybe they understand our point a little bit. If somebody can help me with that.
Is it exactly? Oh, okay.
Entropy.
The video with
one of these bulbs, some bromine, and in the other I have a vacuum. And if I open the tap between these two, you will see spontaneously the bromine rush from one to the other. Now that is the simplest change we can have, perhaps, because all that happens is a change in entropy. In this case, the expansion into a vacuum, nothing else is involved. There's no energy change, there's no temperature change, there's no change except entropy. So without the entropy one of these bulbs.
Very good.
Bye-bye, Jose.
In conclusion, if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. entropy would increase.
Right
And
on.
the gas would fill the available volume given to it. What is that volume?
Outer space.
You want to know?
Outer space. Oh, the number. No, I don't know the number. You tell me.
According to their fairy tale paradigm, it's 10 to the 80th cubic meters. Ah!
A lot of space for that gas to fill.
Immediately.
So, do you think total silence from Dr. Faulkner was the best actual answer he could have given?
Yes.
Fair enough.
I think it was his best option.
Yeah, that's correct. His best option, yes.
Aesthetically, it didn't look good, but he could always say they were just rude, and I'm not going to talk to rude people. And the way he approached me, so he'll dance around it. But it didn't look good for him aesthetically.
Well, you have an astrophysicist writing a book about, and one of the subjects he has is gravity, and no mention of Einstein in there.
How convenient.
Why is that? I mean,
Maybe he didn't have enough time to write the book fully.
Boom, boom. Because he needs a force, doesn't he?
That is incredible ignorance.
He needs a force.
Not ignorance. He did it on purpose. He knows. He's got to know.
He needs a force, just like
Yes.
Nathan said. That's correct. Even though that given both, we can give them both. Einsteinian gravity, wonder twin powers activate. Einsteinian gravity and Newtonian gravity at full, quote unquote, force will have no effect on entropy whatso friggin' ever. Clowns!
Great. They lose either way.
Yeah. At the time when Anthony was neck deep in arguing about gravity, we got right earful from him, because I would say that as well. You know, yeah, have your bloody stupid gravity, have Einsteinian and Newtonian at full effect. It won't affect entropy. The gas will still fill space. Makes sod all difference. Shout out to Cleary for the super chat. Faulkner should have checked Nathan's credentials. I think that's a reference to Wakey Wakey.
It seems to me that the first thing we need to teach our kids is not to trust these authorities.
What would give you that idea?
I don't know about a trust thing, because only the other day we were talking about how explicit they make it. You know, the fakery is fairly obvious. They tell you how they do it. They show you. It's on a television screen. You're not getting to experience it, and they call the whole system a model. So in that respect, you know, in some respects they could argue that they're not deceiving you. You know, they told you. They made it quite obvious. So I wouldn't say teach them distrust, but more teach them critical thought. Teach them logic.
Teach them that the world is going to lie to you. That's what you got to teach them. And then one by one, expose the lies.
Yeah, I don't want to teach my kid that. I'd just rather teach her how to think critically. And then she can assess it for herself and come to the conclusion herself when she's ready to come to that conclusion and assess things critically. As opposed to me saying, the world's an evil place where everyone lies. Yeah, that's true generally, right? She's going to find that out eventually.
Not everyone lies, but I was just piggybacking off the critical thinking lesson. How do you recognize a lie? And what?
Firstly,
if you're not thinking, you're not going to
wrong.
recognize it.
First, that's wrong. Everybody lies.
That's not the context in which I was saying it. If I say to you the Earth is flat and motionless and still, am I lying?
Everybody lies.
Oh.
Oh,
Can't
Rumpus
have
says he
gas-
wants
you
it.
can't have gas pressure without a container. Am I lying?
Yeah, Rumpus in chat is complaining that he's muted in the panel. He wants to say something.
Okay,
Dang it, I was
in
just having a
Discord.
good go with Nathan.
I'll unmute him in a second. So shout out to Leonardo Gonzalez. Okay, now panel, who of you took at right the hand out in a date and did not call him back ever again? He sits in the corner of the chat, soaking, sobbing like a little bee. P.S. Loving the show. It's great. Thank you very much for the super chat, Jose Gonzalez. That's my bad. Leonardo Gonzalez. Really appreciate the support.
Our chat is full of wonderful people who take care of all the trolls in chat. We don't even have to worry about those people. Our audience is so strong. It's ridiculous.
You're a moron, Nathan, an utter moron. I really do wonder whether you're this stupid or you're just trying to deceive people. It's just how you can be this stupid or this deceptive is quite extraordinary. You do understand, do you, that the reason things like bricks remain as bricks is there is a force holding them together. That's how they overcome the natural tendency to disorder. And similarly, there is a force, just like a container provides a
What force would
force
that be? Rumpus?
on gas to stop
Come
it
on, let
escaping.
Rumpus do
The
it,
force of
Rumpus.
gravity. Hold on, the force of gravity. Hold on. The force of gravity keeps the atmosphere on the Earth. It's really, really, really simple.
Gravity's
But
not a
Rumpus,
force.
gravity's not a force.
The
It is
bending
a
of a
force.
conceptual
It
medium
manifests itself
known
as
as
a force
space-time.
in our 3D world.
My bad. Did I only get 20
Manifest.
seconds to respond to you? I heard your claim. So conceptual mediums being bent, that doesn't give you a force.
Yes, it does.
It's a concept.
No, it's a real,
Can you
that's a real
prove
thing.
that?
It's there. We measured
Right,
it.
okay. Can you bend freedom?
There are
Can you bend freedom?
no.
Well, that's also a concept. But you think you can bend space-time, which is also a concept. No, you
Correct.
can't.
No, it's not. It's more than a concept. That's like saying force is a concept.
Sorry. Space-time.
Force is also a concept. Force is also a concept,
Sorry.
and it's also real. It's both.
I didn't say
Well,
force. I
where's
said
your proof?
space-time.
Where's your
Space-time.
empirical proof?
I said space-time, not force. Space-time is a concept. Like
Do you
freedom.
think force is a concept, Nathan?
Sorry, you seem to be sidetracking. I didn't say force,
Do
did I?
you think force is a concept?
Not what I stated. It's not my claim. Who cares?
I know,
That's
I'm
not what I
asking you,
stated.
do you think
Space
force
with
is a
force.
concept?
Would that be just a
Space-time-
concept?
Why am I getting rumpus by
No,
chocolate?
no. Answer the question. Is
No.
force a concept?
No. Space-time's a concept. It doesn't give you a force.
Yeah, hold on. But is force also a concept? I'm
No,
going to help. I'm
force-
going to take your little steps to the
No,
answer. You see, and
no,
I'm helping
Rumpus.
you by trying to get you to think of something you do understand. Hopefully,
No.
is a concept, and then we
Rumpus.
can move you along to the right answer
Rumpus.
in the area of
Yeah,
discussion.
you keep jabbering about moving me on rather than addressing the fact
Do
that you
you
can't
think
bend.
force is a
You're
concept?
rumpusing me now.
No, and it's no
Do you
relevance.
think force is a concept? Try answering the question. Stop
So
dodging.
I've said-
Try debating.
No, it has
No.
Stop
muting.
Why am I getting
Stop
rumpus by my
censoring.
own panel
Try
every
answering
time
the
I try and
question.
engage in a conversation? Is it not difficult to try and have a discourse with rumpus enough without my own panel also rumpusing me? No,
Try answering the question.
but space-time is a concept.
And so is force. And you accept that force is a real thing, so you should be able to accept that space-time is a real thing.
No, space-time is not a real thing. It's a conceptual medium.
Is a force a concept,
We're not
Nathan?
talking about a force when we say that gravity isn't real because it's a
Well, let's
bending
deal
of
with
a
the concept
concept
of a force.
to give rise
Let's
to
avoid
a
gravity for the
not
moment.
actual force, and you're talking through every single word I say.
Yeah, but you're not answering my question, are you? You're dodging it. You're deflecting as usual.
I'm not deflecting. Space-time is a conceptual medium, like Narnia. It's not real. It's concept. It's in your head. It's in Einstein's head. It's like time. It's not real. It's like freedom. It's a concept. Now you believe that you can bend a concept to give rise to a force. A force that can do things, push or pull. Now whether or not you want to define that pushing and pulling as conceptual when something's actually bloody happening is ludicrous. Space-time isn't real, it's a concept. and you can't bend a concept. And it certainly doesn't give rise to a force when you conceptually bend a medium that is not real. And with that, I'll say if you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on the Nathan Oakley 1980 live stream, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Also, of course, a massive thank you to all of today's Discord and G Plus panel for making this live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!